존나 무섭게 생겼어, which means she looks fucking scary. And I was like, she's pretty for a black girl. And I was like, what? She's very sad because it was my very first interaction with locals. 안녕하세요, 돈나입니다. 너무 오랜만이죠. 오늘 다시 왔어요. 학교 다녔어요. 학교에 집중만 했어요. 전공을 미디어랑 TV 영화예요. 저도 유튜브 해요. 행복했어요. 왜냐면 드디어 한국에 와 있었고 아주 신나게 이렇게 와. 그리고 그때 어떤 한국인 친구가 저 인천공항에서 데리러 주러 왔었어요. 그 전에 한국에 관심이 많아서 혼자서 한국말을 배웠어요. 그래서 한번 가봐야겠다라는 생각이 들어서 가게 됐어요. 고등학교 졸업하자마자 예약하고 한국에 갔어요. 저 원래 드라마 때문에 한국을 알게 됐어요. 언어가 너무 신기해서 그냥 조금씩 관심이 가지게 됐어요. 맛있는 거 많은 것 같아요. 그런 생각을 들어서 제가 음식을 많이 좋아하는 스타일이라서 그 생각을부터 했어요. 사람들이 옷 잘 입는구나 이렇게 생각을 했어요. 그러면 제가 한국에 와서 들었던 충격적인 말들은 얘기해 드릴게요. 첫 번째, 비율. So, proportion. So basically, before I came to Korea, no one actually in Europe, no one actually says, oh, you have a nicely proportioned body. But it was only when I came to Korea that people would tell me, oh my God, you have like a nice proportion. Like I would hear it on social media, or like people would like tell me when I would go for modeling jobs, or just like friends would tell me, oh my God, you have a nice proportion. And to be fair, it really sounds like they're talking about clothes. But the thing is, like, I ended up using this myself. So whenever I see someone, I think, oh my goodness, this person has a nice proportion. When I see a model or like when I see an actor or someone in the street, I'm like, you have a really nice proportion. But I never really say it out loud when I'm in Europe or whatever else. It's only when I'm in Korea and I see some Korean people, I'm like, oh, 비율 좋네요. 이렇게. So basically, in Korea, when they greet you, they say 밥 먹었어, which means have you eaten? And it's like I was used to it because I used to hear it in Korean dramas, or like friends used to tell me. Sometimes when someone is asking me, 밥 먹었어요? I'm thinking, oh, what did I eat? Is that person really thinking, oh, what did I eat? But then again, like the previous point, I end up using it also to people when I'm outside of Korea. I'm like, have you eaten? Like I translate it to English. I'm like, what have you eaten? And then they're like, oh my God, thank you for asking whether I've eaten. The thing is, they're like, sometimes some people say, oh, do you want to go and eat something? And I'm like, no, I just wanted to know how you're doing. But it ends up being awkward because you actually can't tell the person, oh yeah, I just wanted to know how you're doing. I don't really care about your food, but yeah. So it's actually really a tricky situation because like you can't really translate into English or whatever country you are outside of Korea. I was in the subway on my way to see my friend doing his military service. So because you know, like Korean guys have to do their military service for like 1 year and a half, something like that. I interacted with a lot of elderly people on that train, but it was like one lady, she actually shocked me. I was like, honestly, like it was like the first time I came to Korea as well. So it's like something I'm gonna tell everyone forever and ever and ever. So I was like sitting down and there was this grandma traveling with this lady, we call it Ajumma and Harmony. So they were traveling together and the grandma was feeding me. You know how grandmas love feeding people. So like she was like, oh my God, you need to eat this. So she was giving me rice cakes. It was really like overwhelming, but she was like, oh my God, 너무 예쁘다, which means you're really pretty. And I was like, oh my God, thank you. Eventually she was like asking the other Ajumma, like, don't you think she's pretty? And then the Ajumma was like, she looked at me like this, and then she was like, yeah, she's pretty, but to be fair, she should lose a bit of weight. And I was like that day I was wearing a skirt, so I literally wanted to run away. Like I was wearing like a skirt, shorts, and I wanted to run away. It was so embarrassing. And and I was like really self-conscious the whole day. It was funny, but now that I think about it, it's just funny, you know. I guess it's not only in Korea, you know, like elderly ladies usually tell you to lose weight. Even my mom does that to me, but still it was shocking because like you do that to people you know and not to strangers. So yeah. So this story was also in the subway. I was just like standing around and trying to go to uni. That was actually last year, and I was on my way to Hanyangdae. So this lady was with her husband, and then she was like, oh my God. Oh, she's like, she's pretty for a black girl. And I was like, what? She's like, 흑인이어도 이쁘다. And I was like, she looked like so proud of saying that. And I was like, how am I gonna react to this? Because it's like really not a compliment. Like, had she said, 그 흑인 분이 여자애 이쁘다. If she had said it like that, I would have been like, oh, okay, thank you very much, thank you. But the way she said it, she was like, even though she's black, she's pretty. Like, I just want people to realize that how black people hear it. Like, let's say, it's like if you're saying that black people in general are ugly and you are the exception. So it's not really nice, but yeah, it really shocked me. The Korean drinking games are over the top. That's a whole story. But like, aegyo is like, trying to act cute, so doing cute stuff. And usually during drinking games in Korea, they might ask you to do aegyo instead of drinking if you want to avoid drinking. And it's like, it's so not me. Like, I'm really chill. I'm not into the cute things, and whenever I'm asked to do aegyo, I'm like, 너무 불편해요. I'm like so uncomfortable. It's like, oh, please save me, save me. But I really have respect for people who are good at doing aegyo. Like, you guys, 대단합니다. Plus also, I was living with a Korean friend of mine, like 언니, 친한 언니랑 살고 있었는데, I actually got to learn how to do aegyo thanks to her, because whenever she would be on the phone with her boyfriend, she would always like use aegyo. So I can say that I'm well educated in the art of aegyo, but I don't like using it.
여보세요?
여보팅. 못하겠어요. This happened the very first time I came to Korea. On the very first day, I was really excited to be in Korea. I was like, yeah, finally. I'm graduated from high school. I'm traveling on my own. Everything's cool. And I remember I arrived in Hongdae because that's where my guest house was. So as soon as I arrived, I dropped my stuff in the guest house, and then I went out and decided to look around and do a bit of shopping. And I found a random store. So I went in, and as soon as I went in, I entered, there was like this member of staff, and he looked at me, and then he was like, 씨발, 존나 무섭게 생겼어, which means she looks fucking scary. And I was like, what? But basically that day I had like a hairstyle called Bantu knots, and so I presume he was talking about that, which was it made me very sad, because it was my very first interaction with locals, because I had just arrived, so it was the very first one. But he didn't even stop there. He actually went to call his colleagues. Like, it was like ground floor, and then there was like one floor down and then one floor up, and he went to call them. He was like, yo, you guys need to see this. And I was like, what? And then they all came and they were like, hey, which is like, oh my God, what? And they were like, oh. And I was like, really? And they were like not even subtle about it. They were like in your face. They were like, oh. And I was like, can you not like at least try to make it like, you know, hidden? But it's not because you're doing it in Korean. Maybe like, imagine I didn't understand Korean. Then it would have been like, I would have still understood you're talking about me because of like the body language. But I understood Korean, so they didn't know that. So I was like, okay, you do you. Okay, 그렇게들 해요. Okay. So I was looking around the store, kind of seeing what's around, and I stopped in front of like the ball cap section. So I was looking at ball caps, and he came to me and he was like, do you want to try it on? But he said that in English, and I was like thinking, I mean, you see my hairstyle. There is no way the ball cap is gonna fit. Like, That's when I decided to shock him. I was like, I replied in Korean. I replied in perfect Korean. I don't know where it came from, but I replied in Korean. His facial expression was just priceless. What's his expression? 100만 원 주고 다시 보고 싶어요. 그 표정. It was so amazing. He was like, I think to this day, he will never forget that day, and he's gonna be really careful around people and not try to speak Korean and say bad things about the people. But it didn't affect me that much. For a few seconds, I was like, why did I come to Korea? Like, this is already going really bad. But, you know, I decided, yeah, you know what? I'm gonna enjoy myself. I paid for all of this. Let's have a good time. He doesn't represent the whole country. So move on. I shocked him. I'm happy and we good. In the world, 흑인 여자들이 원래 화가 많이 나는 사람들로 보여. 좀 조용하게.
그렇게 보일까 봐.
네, 그렇게 보일까 봐. 그냥 뭐. So till now, I talked about the stuff that shocked me when I first came to Korea. You also experienced something. Please write it down in the comment section. I would really love to read your experiences. Please like the video. Make sure to subscribe. I'll see you next time. 안녕.